What's the what's the emotions, feelings that this thing is kind of starting to take off a little bit here?
The excitement, and I have some mentors in this game. I remember vividly one of them talking, when you have a team that's going to be good, that's doing things the right way, you just look forward to playing, and you look forward to the season, you look forward to the postseason, and for me, I'm just looking forward to seeing what this looks like versus somebody on the other side of the net. But I've been saying this over and over again. I've been doing this for a really long time, and if I counted it, I would sound old, so I'm not going to give a number, but probably one of the best first 2 weeks I've had, just in terms of our athletes being dialed in, them competing in practice, them getting after it in the right way, and that's the thing that excites me the most.
This is probably one of the most anticipated seasons in program history. Just, what gives you confidence that this team is capable of achieving big things potentially?
I think the people. I think if you look at it from staff, from auxiliary staff, from support that we have from the university, and then you go down to our athletes, I think we have the right people in place to do something special. And I think it's one of the most important things. And we've talked a lot about just, what you just said. And the thing that we got to do is go about our business every single day. And I think the things that got us far in the tournament last year weren't people's perceptions of what we were doing. It was what we were doing. So just when we step out on this practice quarter and there, the way that we act, the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we work in the weight room and everything that goes along those lines, that's the thing that's going to carry us through the season. And when I say we're doing it the right way, that's the thing that excites me the most. I see the backup to the hype, and the backup to the fact that we're going to be good, and that's the thing that excites me.
Do you feel like the team has any sort of pressure, maybe a standard that they set from last year, knowing that this is a new standard?
Yeah, I think so, but and that's one of the things you worry about, is that creating expectations that but again, we've talked about it a lot, and I've been doing this for a while, and just if you see the backup with the motivation that they have when they come into the weight room, and you see the backup that they have with the intent every single day you come into practice, and we're pretty intentional with this practice is to get these 7 things done, and it's been either 7 of 7 or 6 of 7 where it's check, 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 check. I think those are the things, I think they have the right perspective. That the expectation isn't the thing that we're trying to play for. We're trying to put in the work so that we have the right to go play in these big matches later on in the year. And I think they've really taken that to heart, and they've really run with it.
A lot of continuity on this roster, and you've got a lot of veteran leadership. How have you seen the chemistry pick up where you maybe left off last season, and then kind of getting some of the new players into the fold?
Yeah, it was interesting because we were sitting in the press interview room at Nebraska after we lost, and I remember I think we had 3 athletes with me, and all 3 of them were almost excited that we get to come back and do this again. And it was somebody asked me how long did it take you to get over the morning of losing that match, and that epic not epic fact, it was actually an epic match for me. It's one of my most memorable. And I remember responding with I wasn't necessarily sad. I was sad that our team gave everything that they possibly could have for probably a solid 7 weeks, and we came up 2 points short, and they didn't get to see the joy of that moment of this is the work and this is the outcome. But I think one of the coolest things, and I get chills as I'm saying it, is just I think from that moment they were we know we can do something special based on what we've done for the last 6 weeks, and like I said, the work ethic and the things that got us to those points were the things that they recognized that got us within 2 points of beating Wisconsin. And I think from that point on, whether it be the summer or whether it be where we got in here in the fall, they've been operating with that level of urgency, and I think that's the thing that the continuity happens, and then that's infectious. And all of a sudden, if the majority of your team's doing that, everyone that comes in is well, I guess we have to do that. And I think that's the culture that we've created now. When people are coming in, this is how we act in this program, and that's the thing I'm really excited about, not only for this year, but for the future of the program.
Do you guys have any stated goals, and what do you think this team's capable of?
I think we've talked about taking the program further than it's ever been is a piece of what we want to do. So we do. I think I want to keep those internal with us, just so it's not inflating expectations. But we have some goals, and we have some stretch goals. But again, the thing that we talked about right after that, just like we do every year, like we've done for the first 3 years, is just what does it look like to live in alignment with those goals? And those are the things that our athletes are holding themselves accountable to every single day. And I don't even have to do much. You guys are going to be at practice today. They're just going about business the right way. And every once in a while, they need a subtle nudge to be no, let's go here. But I've been really blown away with just, again, how they are living in alignment.
With 9 seniors on the roster, how do you balance competing for championships now with preparing the generation?
That's a great question. Our program has been and will always be about development. And I think that's the thing that's gotten us here, and it's not going to, change from that just because expectations are higher, and I think development leads to championships, and that's over time and in individual seasons. So I think across the board we have 17 athletes on our team, and they're all going to be treated fairly evenly. We're here to develop you, both as a human being and as a volleyball player, and I think that's how you go about that. And you make sure that people, are feeling like they're giving feedback and they're moving along in the right direction, because like you said, like that is the present and the future. And you never know in seasons where something's going to happen in the middle of it and things are going to change and roles are going to change. So there's that piece. And then it's, I came here to, win championships over time also. And I think you got to make sure that you're developing the entire roster the entire year.
What are you looking to get out of in the scrimmage and then that first exhibition match against Baylor?
I think there's a few things. I think one, we were literally just talking about this. Like the rules are a little bit different that we're going to be playing in against Minnesota. So they're testing out some stuff with 2 technical timeouts, and we only get 1 timeout. And I want to get used to that flow. So me personally, I usually don't coach in that maroon and white. I'm going to coach in it, so I get some coaching reps. I've never had a 30-second timeout before. It's quick. So it's get used to that flow a little bit. Putting on a uniform, we talk about activation just from a mental standpoint in our program, and just if a 5 is in the middle and a 10 is where you feel like you've had 18 cups of coffee and a 1 is where you just woke up, like every time you put on a uniform is a little bit special and it spikes a little bit. So can we take a breath in that moment and bring ourselves down and get used to what that's going to feel like? Let's get, to the development standpoint, get everybody on the floor and get them a chance to go play some volleyball. And then I think against Baylor, it's pressure testing all the things that we've done. And you as a coach, you kind of come in and you're like, oh man, this looks good in practice. And then all of a sudden you throw it up against somebody else and you're like, that did not look good. And so it's a learning opportunity to kind of go back to the lab for a few days before we go out and have one that really shows up in the win and loss column.
What did it mean for you, for Trev, to select volleyball as one of the rev share sports, and what can that do? What has that done for the program?
Yeah, it's, I'm thankful every single day that there's an investment in our program, and I think the next step is there's got to be a return on that investment. So I think it helps, and just we're moving into a different age where that money piece in this last recruiting cycle was the first time ever they had those conversations on the phone. And I think if you talk to recruits, they want to be cared for. It's still the number one thing, and they want to be in a place where they're going to develop, and that's still probably the number one or number two thing. And then if all else is even, they're going to want to get some money. So I think in that process, as we're going through it, it's not going to change from the things that we were about, but it's a nice thing that we can add on top of it. And we're trying to do things a little bit differently, where we teach people how to generate wealth with it and have some conversations around that too, so that our athletes are leaving college both, better at volleyball, better at life, but also set up to have that work for them in the future, and also for them to be able to understand that this is a thing that can work for me, not something I necessarily go spend.
Is the addition of those conversations in recruiting and some of those things just different for you? Just take any time to get adjusted?
No. I had a conversation with my staff of I left professional volleyball because I wanted this to be about development, and I've really kind of, said that to our staff over and over and over again. This is why I came back, is to develop people over time, and we're not going to go away from that. And as I got frustrated, my staff came to me and basically said, Jamie, you're the most equipped to do this because you came from the professional volleyball world. I've had these conversations before, and for me, it's trying to do it in the right way, where it's balancing those two things that should be the most important thing with hey, once we want to ready to have this conversation, we can go have this conversation. So no, it's not uncomfortable for me necessarily. I've probably done it more than probably anybody in the college landscape. But it's trying to balance it in the right way.
What have you just seen from Kendall as she's kind of acclimated to this new program?
That whole transfer process, it's quick. All of it's quick, even the freshman process now. And you get to know these people, and you get on the phone with them for an hour, and you're like, man, I like this human being. I want her to be in my life and our volleyball program's life. And then you kind of go back, and she hadn't played volleyball in a year, so I was like, I kind of remember her being good. And you get them in your program, and sometimes they blow you away. And within 1 month, she was on the board of FCA. She's become a leader on our team. She's really, fun and exciting to coach. She soaks up information. She understands context behind what you're getting across. So and I think pound for pound, she might be one of the best athletes on campus. So I think people, should be excited about getting to see someone that, athletic play volleyball. And I think for me, the coolest thing is just she was out, and I think just talking to her parents, talking to her, just the amount of joy that she has, that she just gets to play this game that she loves, and express herself through that. And I'm excited for her.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what's maybe just stood out to you the most about, getting to learn her story and just kind of the journey she's had in college?
Yeah, I think it just amplifies one of the core tenets of our program of gratitude. I think we take, not advantage, but we don't necessarily appreciate what it is that we get to do every single day. And sometimes, I don't know, even as a coach, that could be a grind. And as an athlete, that can be a grind. But when that thing's taken away from you, and for me, when I left coaching for 3 years, it's a very similar situation of like all of those tough things are something that come along with the amazing thing that we get to do every single day, and that's play this game that we love. So I think if I were to take anything from her story, it's that. It's just this appreciation for this thing when it is taken away and given back to you, like you're going to appreciate that thing a little bit more.
You guys all healthy to start the season?
Yeah. For the most part, we're healthy, yeah.
A lot of preseason accolades for Fenna, obviously, but what are you hoping for that she gets, or expecting from her this last go around?
Her to be her, I think, a little bit. She adds this competitive fire to what we do. I think she's probably, I think last year I said I'll probably say the best blocker maybe in the world. I might not even say in the country at this point, just what she did with the U23 team in USA. And she did it here with 14 blocks, but it's hard to do internationally, and she did the same thing. So I think she's one of the best blockers in the world, and I think adding a leadership piece to this year of infecting that team with that competitiveness that comes from her naturally. And I think that's the thing I'm pushing for there.
What are you seeing maybe from some of the other key pieces you return, like Logan or Ava or Maddie, that maybe they've enhanced their game to?
I think everybody. I think you could go down 1 through 17, and I think one of the things that's hard for us is we don't get access to our athletes during the summer. A lot of other programs do. Football makes sense. Basketball gets access to their athletes during the summer, but it's kind of like, hey, here's the things you need to get better at. Like, please go work on them. And I think the thing I've been really impressed with is 1 to 17. Like, they all came back better. And I think I said this the other day. Like, with this practice environment, it might be one of the best practice environments in the country. I think both from we're very deep with talent and athleticism, but also just the way they compete and get after each other in here. I think you could see 5 different first-team All-Americans off of this team. And I think that's the thing that I'm most excited about is that development. And hopefully I've said that word enough in here that like that's important to us. But like every program over the 3 years I've been here, whether they've come in as a transfer and been 1 year, or they've been here for all 3, like they've gotten better and better and better. And I think we're going to see all of that come to, a head this year with something special in this gym.
Have there been any challenges integrating the freshmen into your lineup? And how do you keep them from getting too overwhelmed?
No, I wouldn't say. There's always challenges, and like I think we've done a really good job. And when I was out of this in the professional sports world, I was asking questions of like, how do you do a professional sports league different? And one of the things that came up a lot was like focus on the transitions. So focus on when people come into your college setting in this environment of like that's one of the biggest transitions you're ever going to go through in your life, of being a high school athlete to being a college athlete, of going to high school where you have this like set class structure to going to college where it might be different on a Monday than a Tuesday than a Wednesday. So we've been really cognizant of that, and we have, each of our freshmen has a big sister that's there to help them. So I think that transition's gone well. I think the fact that they came here early during the spring, it gets their feet wet and kind of what's going on, and how to be an athlete and how to be a student without the travel that comes along with it. So I think they're prepped, but we've talked about this. There's really 6 new people on our team. Even Kendall, we brought up, like, she's never been, at Texas A&M during the fall. So I think we're just being aware of like what comes that's a little bit different, whether it be the practice setting or the way that we travel or the way that we scout. Just how do we, slow those moments down to make sure those transitions happen. But I think the freshmen have acclimated really well into being a piece of the team, both the way that it weaves together, but also their ability to play volleyball. They're able to step out on the floor, and I don't know if it's the highest rated recruiting class in the school's history, but it's up there, and they're playing like it.
You guys have put together a pretty challenging non-conference schedule. Just, why'd you want to be challenged like that throughout that non-conference slate with all those ranked road matches?
Yeah, I was actually hoping to be a little bit more challenging. I think I invited the top 10 to come play here on that Friday, and everyone said no. But I think, one, we're better as a piece of it. I think we need to be tested. I'd like to host some NCAA volleyball matches here, and just you have certain teams that you can play from an RPI standpoint when you do the math, and our home tournament's a little bit along these lines where they get to fill that RPI bucket. Then you get some bonuses by playing teams in the top 25 of that. So there's some, method behind that too, of math of trying to make sure that our RPI is as high as possible at the end of the year. And I think the other piece, I love the fact that we're doing an SEC ACC challenge. The timing of that midweek was a little tough, but that adds another nice tough match in SMU playing up in there. And I just encourage, and I've said this, like, we're not playing as home as much, but I think the cool thing is we get into some communities where there are a lot of Aggies. So we get to play 2 matches up in Dallas and 2 matches down in Houston, and I just encourage there to be a lot of Maroon in those fan bases that are as we go to those places. So and then just I think iron sharpens iron. And I think as we get into the SEC play, I think it's the best conference in the country right now. I wanted to make sure we were prepped for that we're ready for what's coming.
Sustainable success look like for the program?
Well, man, that's a big question. Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is you want to create layerable process that is sustainable and creates long-term success. And I think that's the way you do things year to year. That's the way we train. That's the way we integrate freshmen into our program. And then there's a recruiting piece that comes along with that. That's your lifeblood, the thing you got to go after. And I think I've talked to our team a lot. I was really fired up that, I don't know, we were ranked, but probably for different reasons than people think. I told our team as that kind of happened, I said and I said this all last year, the only ranking that really matters is the one at the end of the year. But I think the cool thing is that being ranked number 9 in the country preseason means that's the perception of your volleyball program by the public, by my peers. And I think it's a really cool thing that in 2.5 years, and I told our players, our staff, our players, the people that are here, the people that invest in themselves, this freshman class that came in, we've, put ourselves in a spot where I think the rest of the country is seeing that our program is in a good spot. That this is a place where you can be developed, and we're all of a sudden getting better recruiting classes that are coming over and over and over again, and we're getting the people, both from a volleyball standpoint and a human being standpoint, that we want in this volleyball program. And I think there's not only no other compliment that you can get when people decide that they want to be a piece of your lives. And so I think there's try to create, sustainable patterns with your staff, with things that are happening year to year. It's continue filling up our program with good human beings that are athletically able to play the game at a high level, and then I think we can develop them. And then going back to that development piece, it's long term. Talent takes time, and we're going to take the time to make sure we develop everybody within this. But if you can develop within, all of a sudden you're going to have sustained success.
Okay, one more. I heard you flipping the seating configuration,
Yeah.
the students and season ticket holders. Just what's just kind of maybe the thought process behind that? And is there anything behind it?
No, there's something behind it. I think if you look at international volleyball, one of the things that they're trying to do a lot of is put the actors on TV. So make sure the faces of the athletes that happen are there. Like they've actually switched the up ref to the other side, which you'll see in our match versus Minnesota. And for me, I think one of the things that makes college athletics really, really special is the student section. And if you watch Kyle Field, there's football, and then there's the student section in the background, and it says home of the 12th man. And I would love to get that here sometime, of like replicating that, because that's one of the things that makes college athletics special, but this campus really, really special, is the students that will make up the people that come back to our matches later on too. So for me, I think getting them in the background of this so that people can see it as much as possible is important.